Hello and welcome to another episode of Inspired Earth. I'm excited to bring you this episode this week, guys. We've got some really cool stuff. We're going to start off with how insect wings can help fight drug-resistant bacteria, which is a pretty bizarre title. But it starts off with our development of antibiotic resistance. And as soon as the antibiotics had been developed, the idea that bacteria would develop a resistance to that medicine was formed, and we know that to be true now. But there are insects that have been found, such as the cicada and dragonflies and damselflies, that a tiny nanoscale spikes on the surface of cicada and dragonfly wings mediate the physical killing of microorganisms, which stretch and rupture when they attach to the wing topography. And they've got a little picture here. So basically, it's got these two little hooks or skewers that stab into it, and then if the bacteria tries to move, it shreds itself apart, which is pretty metal and brutal. And the good thing about this is that they can't develop a resistance to being physically shredded apart, at least not very quickly. And it's chemical free, so you don't have to worry about being poisoned by whatever toxin that they're trying to kill the bacteria with. And it moves on to say here that candida infections can be killed with it, which is a very intense fungus. It's a systemic fungema. Resultant infections are significant clinical concern to severity and high fatality rate, and that if it is not treated within 24 hours, it is a significant increase in likelihood of mortality. So this is deadly fungus we're talking about here, and they cannot kill it off of their instruments. They off of the scalpel that they cut people open with, and the trays that are handed around, where the implants that are put into people have this fungus on it, and boiling it does not kill it, and chemicals will not kill this fungus. But these micro titanium surfaces will kill the resistant species, which is just absolutely incredible work with that. And this is all from an insect, and that these surfaces could deter fungal biofilm formation for extended periods of time, which is fascinating. And here we have pictures of the titanium skewers, microspikes, and it says that that they did this with reactive ion etching to generate 5 micron tall pillars, which reactive ion etching sounds fascinating. We'll have to look into that another time. I assume that they use some sort of chemical reaction to separate it at a molecular level and create molecular blades, so to speak, which is absolutely incredible. And as well, that whenever the titanium micro pillars injured the candida cells, it expressed levels of a protein, multiple proteins, that arrested the cell, triggering apoptosis, which apoptosis is programmed cell death, triggered by the physical damage to their protective wall. So whenever this protein is released from being shredded, basically the cell comes apart and all these proteins inside of it come out of it and tell all of the surrounding species or cells to end their own life cycles, programmed into it, which is what we hope to do with cancer is just be able to flip a switch and tell the cells to turn off and to stop working. And we don't need to have crazy radiation treatment. That's the hope anyways. But they figured out how to do a similar thing with this fungus. But it gets even more interesting in that if you bring this technology to implant patients, it will create even more of a safe procedure with the implant process to reduce potential of complications. The longevity of the implant can be enhanced, infection prevention, and that if they attach human cells, specifically stem cells, to the surface of this enhanced tissue, microstructuring, that it will grow better. Basically, they can put little stem cells on the tips of these pillars and that it will grow off of it, which kind of makes me think of some alien ET implant work with Dr. Roger Lear. Whenever he would remove implants from people, they would always be curious, and I'm pretty sure other people have too, not just him, but his work specifically came to mind, that they were confused on how there could be nerves and blood vessels attached to implants, and bam, there you go. If they have microstructuring of enhanced tissues that could integrate into the attachment of proliferation of human cells, and that could be what we're talking about there. And it says that the likelihood of this very devastating fungus infection will not be as likely with the implants. So that's really, really, really good news. And what's great about it is that it's not chemical. This is just physical stuff, just physically arranging molecules in a way that will prevent these infections. And we found it from insects, which is absolutely fascinating. And we've got some more information here if anybody would like to see it. This is all from physics.org and what university is this? I'll just post it later. It looked like it might be University of Melbourne, Australia. So we're going to go from really small to really big, and new evidence suggests the universe is twice as old as we thought. And I can put this into a wrap here with that. The James Webb Telescope recently took a picture of some of the oldest known stars, which is named Methuselah. Somehow the estimates came back that the star was older than the known universe, which obviously that's not possible. So they had to push back the date of the universe's creation, which has been happening over and over and over. It's going to continue to happen. I think it's kind of comical that we could even think that we could calculate it. It's amusing. I love it, and that we should keep on going. But I think that we're going to continue to have that date pushed back even further and further. And there was more James Webb Telescope data that 6 galaxies are way too massive for having formed that early in the universe's past. So that is also evidence that the universe is older than we thought. Previously, we thought that it was, 13.7 billion years old. We now think that it's 26.7 billion years old. However, in the 1920s, so that's 100 years ago, because it's 2024 now. It says in 1920s, Edwin Hubble thought the universe was only 2 billion years old. So we have come a long ways since then. That's just absolutely insane. that the universe is that old. And we've got some gaming news next. We have U.S. teenager achieves the impossible. A child has beaten arguably one of the world's hardest games. Considering that he's the only person that's beaten it, it's just mind-boggling. And it looks like 2021 AI Tetris player reached uncharted levels of the game, but this child beat the AI, which is absolutely amazing. He's 13 years old, and instead of a story of machine beats man, this is a story of man beats machine, which is rare nowadays. So this is a funny throwback to the past. 1989 is whenever Tetris came out. The fact that humans have been playing a game since 1989 and he's the first person to ever beat it, I feel like takes a moment to process that philosophically, that he's the only human being to ever beat it. And we were, up to this point, nobody had ever beaten it, but we were all playing Tetris. We've all played Tetris. I love Tetris. I played Tetris I still have it on my phone. I think it's free, but it's about enjoying the game and the journey and not the destination. But this kid got to the destination, which is absolutely just amazing that he did this. And as far as I know, the actual makers of Tetris surprised him at his house, which is just such a wholesome, heartwarming story. It says that he began playing Tetris at 11 and was using a rolling technique to record his breaking run. I don't know what a rolling technique is, but that is impressive. The fact that he beat the AI is really amazing. Humans are a species defined by our ability to learn, and in the digital age, there is more and more potential to push into uncharted territories of performance in all aspects of art, science, and culture, Tetris included. It's incredible. And I'm so glad that he got the experience of meeting the makers, and the makers got the experience of having somebody beat their game after so long, and it was a kid. That's so cool. Quickly, I'm just gonna mention the Artemis moon mission here, which is just got delayed in the last 8 hours. I had to bring up the most recent news because it's almost like every day or week there's more going on. We unfortunately had a issue with our moon probe or moon mission that we just launched, and we've delayed the NASA astronaut moon landing to 2026, it looks like. And Artemis, I thought this would be interesting to add. Artemis in Greek religion, the goddess of wild animals, the hunt and vegetation of chastity and childbirth. She was identified by the Romans with Diana. Artemis was the daughter of Zeus and Leto and twin sister of Apollo. Among the rural populace, Artemis was the favorite goddess. So that's very interesting that they would pick that name. Here we are going to continue with NASA. Set to touch the sun in 2024, a milestone for space exploration. NASA's Parker Solar Probe is set to pass the sun in a milestone for space exploration. The probe was launched August 12th, 2018, and is flying past the sun at 195 kilometers per second, or 435,000 miles per hour on December 24th, 2024. So that's going to be an interesting Christmas present for the world. I really hope that will get its images back. It's going to be the first images aiming for the star's atmosphere. Basically going to try to land on the sun, the scientists told BBC. This will be the monumental achievement for humanity, equivalent to the moon landing in 1969. So hopefully we get some amazing pictures from that. On to our rescue story. We have miracle rescue ends in fisherman's ordeal after falling overboard and fending off a shark. And this is in New Zealand. It looks like if I can get this to where y'all can see it. Yeah, okay, perfect. As you can see here, I pulled up the map, and New Zealand is, I mean, it's a ways, but if you go south of New Zealand, you reach Antarctica. So falling off of your boat, it says that he spent 24 hours in cold, choppy waters. Yeah, Arctic, cold, choppy waters in New Zealand with sharks. And this guy lived, apparently, and miraculously saved. Wangamata Police Sergeant Will Hamilton said in a statement that the absolute miracle rescue unfolded after an unnamed angler had set off on a solo fishing trip aboard his 40-foot boat, 12-meter boat, on Tuesday. So what happened to the last guy? He went off hiking at a volcano by himself. This guy took his 40-foot boat out into the ocean by himself. Solo boating. That's like always fun and smart. While trying to reel in a marlin, he fell in. His boat drifted out of reach. The fisherman attempted to swim to a nearby island, but was dragged away by strong currents. Oh, that's really not good. That's really, really not good. Too exhausted to keep swimming, he endured a cold night in the ocean. I guess he's lucky the storm didn't come. I guess he was just floating, just trying to like float. At one point, a shark came to have a sniff, so even a shark thought he was dead. But luckily, I guess the shark saw he was like still alive and just moved on. Was looking for less of a fight. Might not have even recognized him. It's an absolute miracle that the fisherman is still alive after this ordeal, the Sergeant Hamilton said. Incredibly, the angler was saved the following day when 3 fishermen noticed a reflection on the water and set their boat to investigate. He was using the reflection from the sun from his watch to get their attention. That is just incredibly lucky. The guy obviously had some sort of higher power looking after him to have that series of unfortunate events end with such fortune. He was treated for hypothermia and exhaustion. Without the quick actions of the 3 gentlemen, certainly would have had a tragic outcome. We were 10 miles off the back of Mare Island and not a boat in sight, but as we got closer, it was quite obvious that someone was waving their arms. Man, he must have been right at the edge of not making it. We had a big cooler bag, and we just wrapped him in as many layers as possible. He's desperate for water, so I had a bit of warm water on the boat and cranberry juice. We give him what we can try to get him talking and just make sure he stayed awake. I bet that was the best cranberry juice he's ever had in his life. The boat is still missing, but the fisherman still has his watch. That's incredible. All right, and for the first time here, we have some breaking news, and this is only in the last 24 hours that I've heard about it, and that this article has been released. This is from Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Nanoplanet Consulting in MIT has found evidence that a form of life that uses sulfuric acid as a liquid medium could exist and some of the clouds covering Venus. So the surface of Venus is way too hot to have life, they think. So they think that the clouds could possibly have life, but because they're lower temperature, but the clouds are not made of water. They're constituted mostly of sulfuric acid. And that would sound really bad for life on Earth, but there's evidence that maybe life could exist in sulfuric acid. And they suppose that sulfuric acid could serve as this liquid medium they're talking about. Some sort of liquid for everything to just mix around in is what they're talking about, I'm pretty sure. And they looked into the possibility of amino acids remaining stable when immersed in sulfuric acid at temperatures found in the clouds covering Venus. They found that 20 biogenetic amino acids suspending small samples of jars in sulfuric acid for 4 weeks at temperatures observed in clouds in Venus, situated 48 to 64 kilometers above the surface, found that 19 of the 20 amino acids remained unreacted or were modified in a way that would allow life to exist. The researchers suggest that should amino acids make their way into the clouds covering Venus via a meteor, perhaps, they could conceivably interact with other organic material also delivered by a meteor to start some form of living material, one with sulfuric acid as a medium. Amino acids are the building blocks from which proteins are made, they said, and is a requisite for the life on Earth. So this is just more speculation that our solar system has more life in it than we could possibly ever even imagine, and we need to get over ourselves. In my opinion, that's what this is, another affirmation of, that we're not the only life out there. We're not as special as some people might think. Not to like take away from our actual specialness, because we are special. We're here and alive, and we're the only ones on this planet that we know of talking about this. So while we are special, we're not the only living life on Earth, and I feel like we should broaden our horizons of appreciation of life on Earth and in the solar system, and that's what this is hopefully going to do for some people as well. And the idea of sulfuric acid life forms does not sound like the most hospitable for humans, of course. So I wouldn't worry about them coming here, and it's probably going to be a long time before we come there. But yeah, sulfuric acid life forms probably not going to be at the top of my list for ones that I'm going to want to meet first. That's for sure. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening and finishing it out this week. I've got some more stuff planned. Might go bi-weekly. I might keep it weekly. We'll just see how it goes, but I've got a lot more stuff planned. I've also got a bigger show, longer format, that will be a little bit of kind of a surprise type of thing. I'm really excited about that. I hope you guys like it. The weekly, bi-weekly show, we'll just see how that goes and continue on. You can reach me on Facebook, Instagram. I've got Patreon. I have to take time out of working to make this, so I really appreciate if anybody were to donate, especially if you like this content, you want to hear more, you're inspired, you like to think, any of that. I'd love to hear it, what you guys have to say, and you can reach out to me and message me. I'd love to hear the support or any advice. One of the very last things that I forgot to mention was that if you find any of this interesting and you want to read the actual article or see the pictures of the videos and all of that, I post that on all of the social media. So follow the social media. I also post art. I make a bunch of art and I post that. So if you want to see inspired content or read more about the articles, it's going to be on the social media. And you can follow that. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.